Tablet 1: The History of Thoth, the Atlantean. Thoth introduces himself as an ancient master who lived through the fall of Atlantis and carried sacred knowledge forward. He frames himself as a preserver of wisdom, not for ego, but because civilization collapses when people forget law and fall into ignorance. The whole tone is, "I've seen worlds rise and fall, and I'm leaving a map for the ones who can still think." This tablet sets the authority structure of the text. Knowledge is a transmitted current, and you don't stumble into it by accident. It also plants the core theme that the teaching is meant to restore balance and awaken the sleeping mind into higher perception. Tablet 2: The Halls of DMATY. Thoth describes entering the halls of DMATY, a hidden realm tied to death, rebirth, and deep initiation. It reads like a spiritual technology chamber where masters can extend life, restore bodies, and move consciousness through states most people never access. DMATY isn't treated as a metaphorical afterlife only, it's a structured gate with rules. The point is to dissolve fear of death and replace it with comprehension. Death is transition, and mastery comes from understanding the laws governing consciousness. Thoth also frames the masters as guardians of a threshold access is earned through readiness, not curiosity. Tablet 3: The Key of Wisdom. This tablet is Thoth laying down the foundation. Wisdom isn't knowing facts, it's becoming aligned with truth through discipline, silence, and inner clarity. He emphasizes that the mind is usually noisy, programmed, and easily deceived, and that the seeker must develop stillness to hear what's real. The key is basically training your perception, remove distractions, control emotion, and stop letting the outer world steer your inner world. Wisdom is presented as a living force that grows as you purify your intent and strengthen your focus. Tablet 4: The Spaceborne. Thoth expands the world model. Reality is layered, with planes beyond the physical that still follow laws. He talks about beings and intelligences that exist outside ordinary perception, and how humans are limited mostly because they've been trained to deny anything beyond the senses. This tablet pushes the idea that consciousness can travel, expand, and interact across dimensions, but only when the mind stops being a prison. It's meant to break the mental ceiling and install the concept that your current reality is not the full map. Tablet 5: The Dweller of Unal. This tablet introduces the Dweller, a guardian-like force tied to thresholds of knowledge and power. The Dweller represents the test you must pass before deeper access is granted, not as punishment, but as protection. If you carry chaos inside, deeper knowledge becomes a weapon against yourself. Thoth makes it clear that the path isn't just learning secrets, it's confronting your own distortions. The Dweller is basically the mirror you can't dodge. Whatever is unhealed, unmastered, or undisciplined in you becomes the obstacle. Tablet 6: The Key of Magic. Here Thoth goes into what magic really means in this system: sound, vibration, word, and directed intention as mechanisms that shape reality. It's not fantasy wand-waving, it's precision with consciousness. Speech is treated like code. What you speak programs what you experience. He emphasizes control. The undisciplined person leaks power through emotion, reaction, and careless language. The magician is the one who can hold a steady state, speak deliberately, and align well with law. Tablet 7: The Seven Lords. Thoth describes the seven lords as governing intelligences or principles that structure reality. They're not presented like random gods, more like cosmic administrators of order, rhythm, and balance. The theme is that everything operates under law, whether you recognize it or not. This tablet pushes alignment as the path to power. You don't dominate reality through force, you move through it by harmony with its principles. When you violate law, you generate suffering and confusion. When you align, you generate clarity and strength. Tablet 8: The Key of Mysteries. This tablet frames mystery as a temporary condition. Things seem hidden only because the seeker's capacity hasn't matured yet. Thoth teaches that the universe isn't trying to keep you blind, your own inner disorder is what blocks perception. He emphasizes growth through inner work. As you discipline thought, emotion, and desire, you naturally begin to see deeper layers. The mysteries unfold in sequence, and each layer requires a stronger mind, cleaner intent, and greater stability. Tablet 9: The Key of Freedom of Space. Thoth speaks on liberation as freedom from limitation, especially the limitations people accept as permanent. He suggests that the mind is the primary prison, and that space, and movement through it, is not as fixed as humans believe. This tablet is about unbinding, loosening the chains of conditioning and expanding consciousness beyond the habitual self. Freedom is presented as something you build through mastery, not something you wait for society or fate to grant you. Tablet 10: The Key of Time. Thoth treats time like a structure that organizes experience but not an absolute master over consciousness. He implies that advanced awareness can perceive time differently, move through it differently, and even step outside ordinary time flow in certain states. The message is, if you're unconscious, time drags you like a river. If you're conscious, you ride it like a current. This tablet trains the seeker to stop being ruled by past and future and to become present enough to access deeper control. Tablet 11: The Key to Above and Below. This tablet delivers the correspondence law. What happens in one layer mirrors another. The body mirrors the mind mirrors the world, and the world mirrors higher structures. Thoth is basically saying, reality is patterned, and once you learn to read patterns, you can predict outcomes. He encourages the seeker to study microcosm and macrocosm together. Nothing is random, the same principles echo through everything, and mastery comes from recognizing the repeat signatures. Tablet 12: Cause and Effect and the Key of Prophecy. Thoth reframes prophecy as logic, not fortune-telling. If you understand causes, you can foresee effects. Most people call it fate because they don't track their inputs, but the wise can read the trajectory. This tablet is about consequence mastery. Thoughts, actions, and choices are seeds. Plant one kind of seed, you get one kind of harvest. Prophecy becomes strategic vision, because you stop being surprised by what your own patterns create. Tablet 13: The Keys of Life and Death. Thoth speaks on life and death as forces that can be balanced and understood rather than feared. He frames mastery as maintaining inner equilibrium so consciousness isn't thrown around by panic, craving, or instability. The teaching leans into the idea that controlled transition is part of higher development. This tablet emphasizes that immortality isn't just living forever physically, it's continuity of awareness. The goal is to become steady enough that even death doesn't break your center.